to give them this truth, now they say I preach. I'm trying to give them this word, now they say I preach. I open up my book, now they say I preach it. They don't want to come around because they always say I preach. I'm trying to give them this truth, is what I'm trying to do. Man, I'm trying to save your soul, is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to open your eyes to what I'm trying to do. 144,000, don't you want to be counted too? Hey, Shock will take these Hebrews to another level.
Shalom, shalom, shalom. This is Abshaiyah of Israelite Way, and this Sharpen Your Sword lesson presentation study is entitled Unity Starts with You. Unity starts with you. In this presentation study, I'll be using the Creator name, which is Yahuwah, and the Messiah name, which is Yahushua. Unity starts with you, right? Now, there's a cliche that says that black people do not trust each other and lack of unity in our community. That is not 100% accurate, right? These are just psychological mind manipulation strategy that's put in place in order to discredit us and to make it seem as though we're not capable, right, of building any trust. We're not capable of building any unity. There is trust within our community, and there's unity within our community, right? So stop paying attention to those chain letters that's circulating through social media and stop circulating them yourselves, right? That talks about negative things about so-called black people, right? Why we can't do this, why we can't do that, why we always doing this, why we always doing that, why the negative stereotype regards to relationships and all those things. Stop circulating those things, right? Those it's not ideal to send around the entire world, right? Certain issues that's within our community, because these are the nations they experience the exact same issues too, not only us, right? So every nationality in the world has an element of mistrust within, right? So we blame mistrust as though it is the root cause of why we do not succeed, right? But one of the big problems within our amongst our people is long-term vision, right? We kind of lost that long-term vision along the way, right? And before slavery, right? Even right after slavery, right? We were very successful people in business relationship and commerce, right? Example, Black Wall Street, if you all remember, right? The enemy always find a way to tear down anything that we're trying to build, right? And once you tear it down, right, then it's out there that we cannot build anything. We cannot build unity, and there's mistrust. But we don't understand there's an element, there's an enemy that comes in within, right, and destroy anything that we build, and then throw the blame back on us. That is us who destroy, anything that we try to build. But it was the enemy within that did that, right? So and then the stereotype is out there that about the mistrust and the lack of unity amongst our people. So we have to understand our enemy and the strategies that the enemy used in order to tear us down, right? We have been fighting and swimming upstream for such a long time. Many of our people have become exhausted, lost hope, and have given up the fight against the enemy, right? Many of our people, thought integration was the right solution, not realizing that they were making a covenant with the beast. Integration and also emancipation did not give us civil rights or producer rights. It only expand our consumer rights, right? The right to own business was not part of the deal, right? So the deal was that, okay, now you can go into so-called white restaurants and spend your money. You can go into so-called white hotels, right, and spend your money. So the deal was for you to go and spend money. That's what integration and was all about. emancipation was not actually freedom. What it was, freedom from the plantation owner, right? And now, instead of being owned by the plantation owners, now you're owned by the government, by the federal government, right? That's what emancipation means. It means change of ownership, right? So you're still a slave, but not chattel slave on the plantation as we once was, but now we're a slave to the beast system, right? That's how that was set up. And another thing is that when we hear of black and black crime, that's also another falsehood, right? There's no such thing as black and black crime. And the reason why, because there's no such thing as white and white crime, Asian and Asian crime. Because when there's a criminal activity within the white community, or in the Asian community, in the Chinese community, you don't hear them calling it Chinese and Chinese crime, or Asian and Asian crime, or white and white crime. They just call it crime, because there's no such thing as white and white crime, Chinese and Chinese crime, or black and black crime, right? So when you start calling it black and black crime now, what it does is a psychological manipulation of your mind to make you think that there's a lot of criminal element within our organization or within our community, right? That's what it's really saying, right? And because of that, now it builds mistrust, right? And it tears us down, right? And destroy our credibility, right? Those are strategies that's used in place, and those are negativity that a lot of our people run with and think that these are some of the things that we practice as a people, when in fact is only a small, a very tiny fraction of our people who do practice this type of negative behavior. So, also within the Israelite community, building unity is something that we're doing based on what organization or what camp that you're involved in. So build unity with that camp. Don't try to build unity with every single camp around the globe. It's just going to frustrate you, right? Stick with the community, stick with the organization that we get you with, and build unity with that organization. So you can build credibility. So other camps that are probably dysfunctional, you could be an example. You could be a light to that organization. So they too can practice what they can learn from you, and they could also build a stability and unity within their camp also. So when you look at the word unity, the definition is that unity is the abstract state of being one, right? It can also describe a situation in which several entities join together and function as a single entity. Sometimes it is used to describe a state of being in accord or harmony, right? So that's why, we try to focus and where we can build, where and who and how we can build unity, right? Don't try to focus too much on everything, because that's where we end up going off course, because we try to focus on the wrong things, right? And we try to fix everything all at once, right? And that's not how we're going to be able to succeed and be able to build unity. We have to focus on the right things. So one of the dilemma, or the number one dilemma we face as so-called black people, and why we do not succeed as the other nations do at the same pace as they do, because a lot of our people do succeed, but we don't succeed at the same pace, is not mistrust, but bad practices and fear, right? Those are some of the things that's holding us back, especially fear, right? Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of the unknown, fear due to lack of knowledge, right? Those are some of the major things that hold us back, because nobody wants to step out and take action, right? They're always waiting for somebody else to do the deed, right? Why not you do it yourself, right? Get over that fear, right? Instead of pointing fingers and circulating, chain letters, about why we do not do this, why we do not do that, why our relationship fall apart and stuff like that. Don't pass around those things, right? Those things are not helping. That's not the solution, right? And those things will never be the solution, right? All it does is make things more, those things are just destructive, right? They're very destructive, and we shouldn't be passing those things around. So we as so-called people have been depending on other nations for our substances for such a long time, we have forgotten the right formula to succeed, right? Our business relationships have failed because we are not using the proper formula, right? That's one of the reasons. So it's not lack of trust, our lack of unity, because we're trusting people, right? And we know how to unify, right? But it's really just using the wrong formula, right? And we're just focusing on the wrong things, right? And that's the issues that we have, right? So using the proper formula, we have to we have to tap into a proven system, right? A proven system, do proper analysis, right? We also have to have a platform, right? Especially in the political arena, we need a platform to stand on. We can't just look and say, oh yeah, we got a black president now, a black mayor, a black police chief, and everything is all right. No, because they're standing on somebody else's platform. They're not standing on your platform, right? So they're not there to serve your interests because you don't have a platform, right? So you have to create a platform and let somebody stand on your platform, right? And be a voice for you, right? So network. We also have to practice networking. That's something we don't do a lot of, right? Is networking. We need to, like I said, get out of that funk that we're in and get out of our comfort zone and reach out to our brothers and sisters, right? Each one reach one, and then we develop that network. We also have to have access to certain things that will open up doors. We need access to those things, connections. We also need proper connections, influential and influential people, important people. We need those connections, because it's not who you know, it's who know you, right? It's who know you. That's how it works, because nobody's going to invite you to their house if they don't know you. You may know them, but they don't know you, so they're not going to invite you to the house. But if they know you now, then they'll invite you. So we need those connections. Credibility, right? We have to have credibility. Very, very important. Communication skills. We need strong communication skills, long-term plan, and vision, right? And long-term visions. Very important. And we have to learn how to set goals, right? Those are some of the formulas that we need in order to succeed, right? Because mistrust is not the problem, and lack of unity is not the problem. We have to use the proper formula, right? That will solve a lot of the problems that we have. And in building unity, certain elements, you cannot build unity with. You cannot bring these type of behavior within whatever organization or whatever camps that you're trying to build unity with. Bad behavior, it's not going to work. You cannot come in with bad behavior, right? That's just going to cause more problems than you had before you started, right? Malicious intent. You can't come with malicious intent. These are wrong method. These are wrong things, behavior traits to bring within the organization. Selfishness, contentions. I can't come with being contentious, seeking to find fault in others in order to tear down and build up yourself. Those things are not going to work. No respect for rules, correction, or authority. Those things are definitely you cannot bring to the table when you try to build unity, right? These things will not work. Bad behavior, malicious intent, selfishness, contention, right? Seeking to build yourself up, right? No respect for rules, correction, and authority. these things will destroy whatever unity, you're not going to get anywhere with this type of behavior, right? So in order to build, hey, you got to get rid of these character traits. This scripture here will explain why certain individuals come amongst us and they do not stick around. And 1 John 2 verse 19 explains it. It says, they went out from us, but they were not of us. For if they had been of us, they would have stayed with us. But in order that it might be made manifest that none of them were of us. So from the beginning, they were not of us, right? They had an intention of building unity with us, right? And that's why it was a short stay, right? It was a short stay for them. Either they removed themselves, and the Most High purged them from amongst us. 1 John 2 verse 9. The one who says he is in the light and hates his brother is in the darkness until now. Verse 10. The one who loves his brother stays in the light, and there is no stumbling block in him. Verse 11. But the one who hates his brother is in the darkness and walks in the darkness and does not know where he's going, because the darkness is as blinded his eyes. Right. 1 John 3 verse 14. We know that we have passed out of death into life because we love the brothers. The one not loving his brother stays in death. Everyone hating his brother is a murderer, and you know that no murderer has everlasting life staying in him. Right? So if we're practicing hate amongst our brothers and sisters, we better check ourselves and correct ourselves, because there's no salvation in you hating your brother or your sister. Right? If you have any beef, or you're holding up your brother and sister for whatever incident or whatever issue happened at a couple months ago, a couple weeks ago, or eons ago, you better let it go, right? You better let it go. You better repent from it, because the Most High it's not pleasing to the Most High for you to have these kind of practices, these kind of character traits where you're holding up somebody, or you have some kind of grudge, or you despise someone for whatever incident that happened in the past. You got to let those things go, right? Because the Most High, does not appreciate you walking this walk, and these are the time of behavior, and these are the kind of practice things that you're practicing, because these things cannot build unity. Right? And there's no place for these type of practices in the kingdom. There's no way you're going to make the kingdom with these type of practices and these type of behavior. So, Acts 15 verse 36 says, and after some days Shaul said to Barnabas, let us go back and visit our brothers in every city where we proclaim the word of Yahuwah and see how they are. So Shaul wants to go back and check on those that he proclaimed the word to, and Barnabas had other ideas. So Acts 15 verse 37 says, and Barnabas proposed to take with them Yohanan, called Mark. Verse 38, but Shaul thought it not fit to take with them the one who withdrew from them in Pamphylia and had not gone with them to work. So Shaul think it was not a good idea. And, he didn't want any contention along the way. So it was best for him not to come. So, so Barnabas, was not too happy with it. So it created a dispute. As we read in Acts 15 verse 39, it says, a sharp feeling therefore came to be. So they parted, and so that they parted from one another. And so Barnabas took Mark and sailed to Cyprus. Verse 40. And Shaul chose Silas and went off, being committed by the brothers to the favor of Elohim. Verse 41. And he went from Syria and Cilicia, strengthening the assembly. So they parted ways, right? And just because they parted ways, that doesn't mean that there was hatred amongst them, right? They just find out it wasn't a good idea for Yohanan to come along with them, so they decided to parted ways, right? So they just went their ways, and they continued to do the work, right? Where the city they went to. So it wasn't a hatred or a lost love amongst brothers. It's just that they see it fit that they go their separate ways in order to spread the message. So the scriptures underscore the importance of unity and oneness. Unity with others is good and pleasant, according to Psalms 133, verse 1. Unity is absolutely essential, and a body cannot be disunity or disharmony with itself. If disunity occurs, it essentially ceases to be a body and becomes a disjointed group of individuals. Unity begins with how we view ourselves within the body and how we view others. Philippians 2 verse 2 says, "May my joy complete by being of the same mind, having the same love, one in being and purpose." Verse 3, "Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain deceit." Verse 4, "Each one should look out not only for his own interest, but also for the interest of others." Let's go to 1 Corinthians 1 verse 10. "And I appeal to you, brothers, by the name of our Master Yahushua HaMashiach, that you all agree, and that there be no divisions among you, but that you be knit together in the same mind and in the same opinion." Romans 12 verse 16. "Be of the same mind toward one another. Do not be proud in mind, but go along with the lowly. Do not be wise in your own estimation." Verse 17. "Repay no evil for evil. Respect what is right in the sight of all men." Verse 18. "If possible, on your part, be at peace with all men." Be at peace with all men. Right? So, so that way, with unity, there should be peace. Right? There should be no war within unity. Unity shouldn't be dysfunctional. Right? There shouldn't be people who have beef or holding somebody up with some kind of grudge, right? Or just some kind of displeasure. That's not how you build unity. Unity cannot be built that way. Unity has to be peaceful, right? And everybody on the same accord, like-minded, right? That's how you build unity. 1 Peter 3 verse 8. "To sum up, let all of you be like-minded, sympathetic, loving as brothers, tender-hearted, and humble-minded." So 1 Thessalonians 5 verse 9 says, "Because Elohim did not appoint us to wrath, but to obtain deliverance through our Master Yahushua the Messiah." Verse 10, "Who died for us, so that we, whether awake or asleep, should live together with him." Verse 11, "Therefore encourage one another and build up one another as indeed you do." Verse 12, "But brothers, we beg you to know those who labor among you and are over you in the Master and admonish you." Verse 13, "And to hold them in the highest regard in love because of their work. Be at peace among yourselves." Verse 14, "And we appeal to you, brothers, warn those who are disorderly, encourage the faint-hearted, uphold the weak, be patient with all." Verse 15, "See that no one renders evil for evil to anyone, but always pursue what is good, both for yourself and for all." 1 John 4 verse 20, "If someone says, 'I love Elohim,' and hates his brother, he is a liar. For the one not loving his brother whom he has seen, how is he able to love Elohim whom he has not seen?" Verse 21, "And we have this command from him, that the one loving Elohim should love his brother too." Wow. Right, to 6 verse 14, "For if you forgive men their trespasses, your heavenly Father shall also forgive you. But if you do not forgive men their trespasses, neither shall your Father forgive your trespasses." So if you don't forgive your brothers and sisters for whatever, whatever incident, whatever beef, whatever they have done to you, if you haven't made an attempt to forgive them, the Most High Yahuwah will not forgive you. And when the Most High hasn't given you, then there's no way you're going to be able to make it into the kingdom. No possible way for you to make it into the kingdom if the Most High haven't forgiven you. So how do you expect the Most High yet to forgive you when you yourself haven't been able to forgive your brother and sisters? So that's something to think about. And this is how you're supposed to approach your brother and sister if you have a dispute or in conflict, or they transgress against you. According to Matthew 18 verse 15, it says, and if your brother sins against you, go and reprove him between you and him alone. If he hears you, you have gained your brother. Verse 16, but if he does not hear, take with you one or two more, that by the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses every word might be established. So now you get proof. You have a witness that can vouch for you. You follow the proper steps in order to resolve the issue. And verse 17 says, and if he refuse to hear them, say it to the assembly. And if he refuse even to hear the assembly, let him be to you like a Gentile and a tax collector. Galatians 5 verse 16, and I say, walk in the Spirit, and you shall not accomplish the lust of the flesh. Verse 17, for the flesh lusts against the Spirit, and the Spirit against the flesh, and these are opposed to each other, so that you do not do what you desire to do. Verse 22, but the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, trustworthiness, gentleness, self-control. Verse 25, if we live in the Spirit, let us also walk in the Spirit. Verse 26, let us not become conceited, provoking one another, envying one another. And Colossians 3 verse 17, and whatever you do in word or deed, do all in the name of the Master Yahushua, giving thanks to Elohim, the Father, through him. So we need each other in order to stay together. No time for debating over doctrine. Let us learn in love and understanding, one mind, one love, with the Most High through Yahushua the Messiah. And the most beautiful people are those who can love without expecting anything in return. So this brings us to the end of this lesson presentation. Thank you for your patience, and I hope this lesson was able to give you some understanding as you continue your study in this walk. So I leave you in peace as I come to you in peace with the Hebrew word of peace. Shalom, 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 shalom.